Alright, so to find the equation of a hyperbola, well, we've got all this stuff here. Uh, well, let's just get started on the first part of it. Hyperbola is going to be in this form here: x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared equals 1. The foci is plus or minus c, where c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. Vertices, plus or minus a, 0. And asymptotes, y equals plus or minus b over a times x. And here's an example of the hyperbola. You can see that, and I don't know how well you can see this, but the point here, that's the point negative a0, and this point here is a0, and then you've got the foci out here, that's at negative c0 and c0. So you can see when the x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared, you can see that the hyperbola opens left and right. Okay, and then you've got your asymptotes here: y equals negative b over ax and y equals b over ax. Well, this is really the same thing, except notice the difference in this one and this one. We've got the y squared comes first: y squared over a squared minus x squared over b squared equals 1. So when that's the case, the hyperbola is going to open up and down, and the foci is 0 plus or minus c, which are these points here and here, and then we have vertices at 0 plus or minus a, which is the point here and the point here, and the asymptotes y equals plus or minus a over b times x. All right, and I'll have a bunch of different examples to work. They'll each have their own video, so check them out. Now, the other thing, you see these asymptotes cross here. Well, that can change. All right, and the way that would change is if this is shifted left, right, up, or down. Okay, so the equation for that would be, we would have x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. Okay, and then the other way that it would shift, if this was written as y minus k squared over a squared, and I know I wrote plus up here, that should be minus, that should be x minus h squared over b squared equals 1. Okay, so that just depends on where these things intersect. All right, so let's take a look at some examples and see what we've got. Alright, so let's see what we got here with this example. It says find an equation for the hyperbola vertices negative 1, 2 and 7, 2 and foci negative 2, 2 and 8, 2. Alright, so let's just sketch out what we have. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's see, we got to go 1, 2. Alright, so let's plot this. We've got negative 1, 2. I'm going to do the vertices in blue. And we've got 7, 2. Alright. And then we've got the foci negative 2, 2. We'll do those in green. And 8, 2. Alright, so that tells us that our graph is going to do like this. Alright, That's just a rough sketch. All right, so now that we know that our hyperbola, it's not centered at the origin, it's shifted. So that tells us that the equation is going to be in the form x minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. Alright, so since it's opening left and right, I know the x comes first and then the y. If it was opening up and down, the y term would come first. It would be this over a squared minus this over b squared. Alright, so we need to get h and k. That tells us how it's shifted, or I guess you could maybe even, say the center here. Alright, so if we look at this, we know that the center is halfway between the vertices. Okay, so if you look at this distance here is, well, from here to here is 8 units, and then one more. I'm sorry, from here to here would be 7 units, because this is the point 7,2, and then this we go one more unit, so this is 8 units apart. So half of the 8 would be 4, so we need to come back 1, 2, 3, 4, and this would be where the center would be. Okay, that's how it's shifted. So this would actually be the coordinates 1, 2, 3. This point would be 3, and then we went up 2. So it's shifted to the right 3 units and up 2 units. All right. So let's see what we've got. Well, we've got h and k. H is 3, k is 2. Okay. And now we need a and we need b. Well, a, that's how many units it is from the center here to this point, to a vertex. That's a. And it's the same distance from here to this vertex, so we just need this one. And so we can see that a is equal to 4 units. Okay. And then we need to figure out what c is. Well, c, that's the distance from the center here to the foci, or the focus. So how many units is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 units. So we've got c is equal to 5. All right, so we've got a, we've got c, but see, we need b. Well, we can do that easily, because we know that c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. And so all we have to do is plug all of this in, okay, and we can solve for b. And let me say this, after we get the equation, I'm going to write down the equation of the asymptotes also. All right, so I've got c squared. Well, c is 5, so that's 5 squared equals a squared. Well, a is 4, so that's 4 squared plus b squared. So b squared is equal to, well, that's 5 squared, which is 25. I moved the 4 squared over, so that's minus, and 4 squared is 16. And so I get b squared is equal to 9. All right. So my equation is x minus h, and h is 3, and that's squared, over a squared. Well, a is 4, so 4 squared is 16, minus y minus k, k is 2, squared, over b squared. Well, b squared is 9, and that equals 1. So there's the equation of the hyperbola. Now let's write down the equation of the asymptotes. So if you remember, the equation of the asymptote, look back at the first of the video, that was y equals plus or minus b over a times x. But that's when the center here is at 0, 0. Well, the asymptotes for when it's shifted, it's going to be y minus, and then how does it shift on the y-axis? Well, that's 2. That's y minus k, because remember, this is in the form hk, and I'm just going to give you the general equation here, equals plus or minus, and then that's going to be b over a times x minus, and then this term h. And so the asymptotes would be y minus 2 equals plus or minus b over a. Well, b squared is 9, so b is 3, so that's going to be 3 over a, which is 4, times x minus h, and h is 3. And this would be the equation for your asymptotes. And if you want to, you could move the minus 2 over. It doesn't matter. You can simplify it some more. You can distribute that. Alright, so I hope the video helped. Check out my other videos. Give me a like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.